Have you ever found yourself in a situation that you really wanted out of, but you just saw no way to possibly get out of it? That's exactly where Pilate found himself in John chapter 19. He wants to release Jesus. He knows that he's an innocent man, and he appeals to the people really to release Jesus, to let him go. Yet in verse 12 of John 19, those people tell Pilate that if you let this man go, you are not Caesar's friend. For whoever makes himself a king speaks against Caesar. It's very ironic that the Jews, particularly the leaders of the Jews, and that's pretty much who was instigating all this, that they would use Caesar as a device to get their way. Because the relationship between the leaders of the Jews and the Romans was not a pleasant one at all. There was no love there at all. In fact, when you look at the history of the Jews, they had fallen into Babylonian captivity in 586 BC. For over 600 years, they had been in captivity or been dominated by another world power. It was Babylon. It was Persia, it was Greece, and now it's the Romans. And they simply were looking for a way to get out from under another world power and be an independent nation again. It had been 6 centuries, and that 6 centuries of being in captivity had kind of colored their interpretation and their understanding of the purpose of the Messiah. And when you read the whole picture of the Gospels, you really get the impression that the Jews were looking not so much for a spiritual leader, that wasn't out of the picture, but not so much a spiritual leader as they were looking for a military leader, someone who could take them out from under the oppression of the Romans and deliver them and make them an independent people again. So it's very ironic in John 19 that they appeal to Pilate through Caesar. The Bible tells us that Pilate still wanted to get out of the situation. And so he finally, though, realizes there's no way out. So he sentences Jesus at the pavement called Gabbatha in the scriptures. And then he tells these people, behold, your king. And then they cried out, away with him, crucify him. And then the Bible says very specifically, the chief priest said, we have no king but Caesar. Quite the opposite of anything that they really believed in their own hearts. And yet, because it served their purpose, it's exactly what they would do. Sometimes in our own lives today, do we sell Jesus out? Do we sell Jesus out to someone or something that we really have no heart or no purpose invested in, but because it suits our purpose, because it does and accomplishes what we selfishly want, will we sell even Jesus out to the multitude?